when I first got involved, people were reluctant to report a UFO sighting. So forget getting involved, actively. Okay, if you had a UFO sighting, you would often not say anything, maybe even to your family, because there was such a stigma. But as time has gone on, that's changed. Of course, there are some people that don't, but now pretty much if you see a UFO, you'll talk about it and all the rest. But the stigma about getting involved, which of course is loosened, is still definitely there. What did people think UFOs were initially? I'm talking about 1947, 1948. They did not think they were aliens. They didn't know what they were. They thought they might have been Soviet. Right? Now today spy balloons are Chinese, but back then they thought they were Soviet, secret Nazi weapons the Soviets had developed or something. That's what they thought. I mean, in a few years it went to, well, it must be aliens. And the reason, of course, is simple, why people make it, because it's a logical leap in this sense. You see something fly over. It doesn't have wings. It doesn't have an engine, but it's actually flying over. It's disc-shaped. It's, either hovering or moving very fast. What else is it? I mean, it's real. It's not a balloon. It's not a plane. It's not a star. It's not a planet. It's not this. It's not that. So what's left? Back then, they didn't think about time travelers, right? Extra-dimensional objects. So there are other things that are next. But so they said, alien spacecraft. Okay. It's not a leap at all, of course, to say things are unexplained and there are UFOs. Obviously, there are UFOs. Okay. But to say that they're, alien spacecraft, it really is it's not just a logical leap, it's a data leap, because what would it take to know that something was an alien spacecraft, right? Well, I don't know, rare metal. I mean, it would be, if they landed and told us, that would be nice. But basically it would take, a tremendous amount of evidence to pin it down, to say, okay, this thing here, when they don't land, when in fact they're just flying around. But the other thing to note, though, is this: the reason why, it is not crazy to think that they could be, aliens, even if they can't travel faster than the speed of light, is related to what's going on right now in society, which is artificial intelligence. All right. So what if everything we're seeing, there's nothing biological inside? What if instead it's machines, artificial intelligence? There are plenty of people now that, putting aside with a worry about AI, is that they're saying that, in fact, we're going to merge ourselves, biological and AI are going to merge. But the point is that maybe that does happen in other places around the galaxy. And when it has, then they can start expanding out, and they can take, a long time, even if they can't travel faster than the speed of light. Maybe they can, they have a wormhole, the movies, right, all that. So circling back around, right, I don't know whether UFOs are alien. All I know is they're unexplained. They're appearing, they have appeared, and it's a big scientific problem. And even now, big science, politicians, right, all of that, most of them are not taking UFOs seriously. There was a huge stigma attached to the subject, just like there is to parapsychology, cryptozoology, all these kind of fringe topics. But in UFOs, there are several reasons. The most direct one, actually, is that the government purposefully downplayed the issue years ago. They were worried, with some reason, that the Soviets, it always goes back to the Cold War, that the Soviets could use the UFO phenomena in a surprise attack. They would divert our attention, they would clog our communication channels, and they would then be able to attack the US and all that. That was never going to happen. But they worried about it. They worried about, all kinds of things in the Cold War. And they put together a scientific committee. They came up with recommendations, and they acted on them. And the action on them was to downplay the topic, an exercise in managing the problem, a PR exercise. So that's one reason, okay? But the other is that science is incredibly conservative as a whole, particularly in areas where it involves something that could be alive. In other words, what do scientists study? So you tell scientists who are very conservative, and which there's no evidence of, extraterrestrials and all that stuff, and years ago, no exoplanets, right? None of that. And you say, well, these things could be aliens, right? And they just recoil in horror because there's no theory that that says it should be true. They're conservative. They want to base things off evidence and things that theory says should be possible. Well, theory says it's not possible. You can't travel faster than the speed of light. We're not sure there's life out there. So, and then finally, scientists, at least physical scientists, social scientists are different somewhat. They're prejudiced against witness testimony, right? They don't want to use what they call anecdotal data. UFOs only affect me because, of course, I'm working in the field. But UFOs don't affect us. Just like astronomers discovering more exoplanets don't affect us. And if we discovered life on Mars, we finally get a sample and we bring it back and we study it and we go, look at there's life on Mars. And it would be fantastic news, interesting news, not going to affect us. Basically, it's interesting science news, and it would affect how we think about the evolution of life and all this. But because there are still scientists who write papers and say, yeah, there's probably no other life that's intelligent. They base it on statistics and so forth. Okay, fine. But most scientists think that that's wrong, but nobody knows, right? That's the problem. Nobody knows. I wish I'd seen a UFO. Of course, I've talked to hundreds of people that have. But no, I've managed not to see one. Sometimes I think they stay away purposely. So, but no, I'd like to have one, obviously, but nothing.
Next week in Hermosa, we learn all about ube.
What do you call a purple yam? A purple yam? Yeah!
From Superphonic Studios, this is Chicago. Listen every Sunday.